this video, we're going to take a look at combustion analysis, which is a problem-solving technique you can use where you're essentially isolating the mass of each element from a certain product and relating that back to an unknown reactant. And this is called combustion analysis if it's involving a combustion reaction, but it doesn't have to involve a combustion reaction. It can involve any type of reaction, and then a lot of times it's just called elemental analysis. So let's look at the premise here. So take a moment, read the example. An unknown alcohol contains the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So I wrote the formula like this. There's hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. I'm not sure of their ratios, so I just put X, Y, and Z. When 0.51 grams of this alcohol is burned in air, burned is telling me it's a combustion reaction, it produces 1.122 grams of CO2 and 0.612 grams of H2O. Determine the empirical formula. So they gave me the starting mass of this unknown alcohol. I know what's in it, but I don't know the molar ratios. And they gave me the masses of each of these products. And they're asking me to figure out what is the formula of this unknown reactant. So all you're going to do is you're going to trace each of the elements in your unknown reactant to where they are in the products. Meaning if I look at the carbon, here's the carbon in the alcohol. There's no carbon in air. But if I look at the products, where does all this carbon end up? All the carbon ends up in CO2. So from this mass of CO2, if I could isolate just the mass of carbon, I could say that that would be the same as the mass of carbon in my unknown alcohol due to conservation of mass. And if I look at the hydrogen, okay, let's trace where all the hydrogen goes. All the hydrogen ends up in H2O. There's no hydrogen in air, there's no other products, so if I can isolate the hydrogen from H2O, I can relate that back to the starting hydrogen in this alcohol. Then that leaves oxygen. If I notice oxygen, it's not only in this reactant, it's in the air that's being reacted with. And oxygen is in two different products. So I don't really want to isolate the oxygen from any one of these products. But if I know the carbon and I know the hydrogen, and I know the total amount of the alcohol, via subtraction, I can get the oxygen. So if I can calculate C and H, I can subtract these from the mass of the entire alcohol to find grams of O. And you might have something that's not an alcohol. You might have different starting elements, but there might always be one element you can't trace, and that's the one you'll solve for via subtraction. So let me show you how to do this. So essentially we're going to take each of these masses of each product and isolate that one element from it. And that's why it's called elemental analysis. You're tracing the elements and seeing where they end up. And if they only start in one place and end in one place, you can assume that it's the same mass. Okay. So here is the starting mass of the ending mass of CO2. So from this, I'm going to isolate just the grams of carbon. I'm going to show you two different ways you can do this. So if this is the mass of CO2, okay, I can see, given the formula CO2, for every one CO2, there's one carbon. But that's not a gram-gram ratio. I could say for every 1 mole of CO2, there's 1 mole of carbon, but I'm in starting grams. So when in doubt, mole it out. I could mole out the CO2, change it to moles, okay, divide by the molar mass, 44. And then I can change moles of CO2 into moles of just C, essentially using the subscript as a conversion factor. For every 1 CO2, there's 1 mole of C. And I can only use those subscripts as conversion factors if I'm in moles, or if on an even smaller scale, I can say every 1 molecule, there's 1 atom of C. But these are not mass ratios, they're mole ratios or atom to molecule ratios. Okay, so now I'm in moles of C. I don't want moles of C, I want mass of C. So now I can change it into mass by saying for every 1 mole of C, there's 12 grams of C, which is the atomic mass of carbon. And when I do this out my calculator, I get 0.306 grams of carbon. Make sure you keep enough significant figures. I actually should have kept 1 more since there's 4 to start with. I should have 4 to end with. Now this can look like a lot of work, but there's a simpler way to do this, and you might want to take a moment to watch my mass percent as conversions video. You can essentially just use the mass percent as a conversion factor. I'm starting with the mass of the whole, mass of CO2, and I want to isolate just the mass of C. So I can say, okay, I want grams of CO2 in the bottom, so they cancel. I want grams of carbon on top, so I'm left with. And this is just the fraction that's mass percent. mass of part over mass of whole. Okay, for the molar mass of CO2 is 44. For every 44 grams of CO2, there'd be 12 grams of carbon. It's essentially multiplying by the mass percent as a decimal. And you get the same answer. And notice if I'm looking at the work, it's the exact same work. You're multiplying by 12 and you're dividing by 44. So this is kind of a shortcut in doing it. And you can absolutely feel free to do it at the top way. There's more conversion factors that way, or you can do it the bottom way where there's less. It's the exact same thing, okay? And now you have your mass of carbon, and I can assume that that's the same mass of carbon that's in the alcohol. So now let's do the same thing, but with the hydrogen from the H2O. So here's my mass of H2O that I've gotten in the problem statement. So again, showing the long way, I can say, okay, when in doubt, mole it out. Let's turn this into moles of H2O. Now I can use the subscripts as conversion factors, because remember that a formula represents a mole ratio or an atom ratio. It doesn't represent the mass ratio. It's not a 2-to-1 mass ratio. It's a 2-to-1 mole ratio of H2O in this case. Okay, so I could say, okay, now I'm in moles of H2O. I can say there's 2 moles of hydrogen for every 1 mole of H2O. And then I can say, okay, every mole of hydrogen weighs 1 gram. Make sure you're not using diatomic hydrogen. Here, the molar mass of just 1 hydrogen is 1. Okay, and then I would get this answer. Or again, if you want to make this more simple, how I like to do it is use mass percents. I'm starting with 0.612 grams of the whole. Okay, I want to multiply by a conversion factor that has just grams of hydrogen on top and has grams of H2 on the bottom, so they cancel, and this is the mass percent. Mass of the part, how many grams of H are in H2O? 2 grams, because there's 2 hydrogens that each weigh 1. And what's the total mass of H2O? 18. And notice, either way I do this, I'm multiplying by 2, dividing by 18, I get the same answer. Now I have, in my alcohol, I have the mass of C, I've calculated that. I have the mass of hydrogen, I've calculated that. But I'm missing the mass of oxygen. So it might come down to you missing the mass of just one element, and that's no big deal if you have the mass of the entire sample. I have the mass of the entire thing. If I subtract out the masses of carbon and hydrogen, then I'll be left with just the mass of oxygen. So in the problem statement, they give me 0.510 grams of the whole thing. If I subtract out the 2 masses of carbon and hydrogen I just found, I'm left with a mass of 0.136 for oxygen. Sometimes there might not even be an element you have to solve for this way. You might be done even earlier than this. But this is a way of finding that last element that you're missing via subtraction. Now I have the masses of each of these elements. Okay, now I can just treat this like any other problem that I had before where I had starting masses of each element. How do I find the formula? Okay, remember that formulas are mole ratios, so when in doubt, mole it out. A lot of people just go right into making these the subscripts and finding whole numbers. No, you have to mole it out. Once you have grams of each thing, you've got to change them into moles using the molar masses, carbon 12, hydrogen 1, oxygen 16. Make sure you are not using the diatomic values for hydrogen. This should not be 2, this should not be 32. These are not separate elements by themselves. These are elements in a compound. We don't know the subscripts, we are finding them. So make sure that you are using just the atomic masses here as the molar mass. Okay, and keep enough significant figures. Make sure you're keeping at least 3. In this problem, I should have kept even more here, especially for the oxygen, and I probably should have kept 1 more for each of these. If you don't keep enough significant figures, you're not going to get nice whole numbers at the end. And then these are the subscripts. They're just not in whole number ratios that we're used to seeing. So the rest of this is just trying to get it into a whole number ratio. So divide by the smallest, because that would make one of our subscripts 1, and we can see what the other subscripts would be based on that. And if I do that, I get C3H8O1. Okay, from here it's really just about manipulation of algebra. If that doesn't work, there's a couple other tools you can look at. Take a look at my previous video on finding empirical formulas. Okay, sometimes there's an example add-on. Now that you know the empirical formula, they'll tell you the compound's molar mass or molecular weight. In this case, they tell me it's 180. Tell me grams per mole. Tell me what the molecular formula is. So from there, all you want to do is you want to take your molar, figure out the molar mass of the empirical formula you just found, which is 60, 3 carbons, 8 H's, 1 oxygen, adds up to 60 grams per mole. And then take this molar mass of the molecular's formula, divide by 60, and that will tell you how many times bigger, essentially, the molar mass needs to be, or how many times bigger my formula needs to be. So this is going to be what I have to multiply the subscripts of my formula to get in order to get my molecular formula. So instead of C3H8O, that's the empirical formula, C9H24O3 would be my molecular formula. Okay, here's another example for you to try now. Take a moment, pause the video, and then check your work. Okay, so they give me an unknown compound. They tell me when it's burned, I get CO2 and H2O. So let's figure out the mass of carbon and the mass of hydrogen, and we'll also see if there's any oxygen in it, since they don't tell me what's in this unknown compound right now. So I'm going to just show the shortcut way that I like to do. So here's my grams of CO2. I can isolate all the carbon from that. There's 12 grams of carbon for every 44 grams of CO2. That's really just multiplying by the mass percent, and I get 0.06412 grams of carbon. And I could do the same thing with hydrogen from the H2O. And like I said, there's a longer way if you'd rather do it. Mole out the CO2, 1-to-1 ratio of C to CO2, and then mass back out that carbon. Okay, and then here's the H2O, turning that into grams of hydrogen. 2 different ways which yield the same answer. Make sure you write that there's 2 grams of hydrogen for every 18 grams of H2O because there's 2 hydrogens in there. And let's see if there's any oxygen in there. I know the mass of the entire sample. I found the mass of carbon and hydrogen, and I noticed there is some oxygen in there as well. Okay, 0.02859. If there was something other than oxygen, they would have to tell me in there in the problem statement. And now we just change these into moles. Okay, dividing by the molar mass. Remember to don't forget this step. You cannot find the formula based on masses. You have to find the formula based on moles. Keep enough significant figures. And now I'm just going to divide by the smallest, and that gives me whole numbers, C3H6O. The last part of it asks me about finding the molecular formula, so I'm going to get the molar mass of the empirical I just found, which is 58, and I can take 116 divided by 58, and I see that the molecular formula should be 2 times bigger, so I should multiply my subscripts by 2. Here's one more example to try. Give it a shot, and then check your work. 1 gram of a compound's burned completely. They give me the mass of carbon of CO2 and H2O. Let's figure this out. So I'm going to isolate the carbon from the CO2, and I get 0.56 grams of carbon. I'm using the mass ratio of carbon part over whole here for essentially, which is the mass percent. And I can isolate the hydrogen from the H2O. Here's my setup. There's 2 grams of hydrogen for every 18 grams of H2O. Okay, because there's 2 hydrogens in there. And just checking for the mass of oxygen, if I add carbon and hydrogen together, those add up to about 1, which is what they told me the starting mass was. So I could assume that there's no oxygen in this sample, that this is a hydrocarbon, C's and H's only. So there's no subtraction, nothing to find essentially for oxygen here. So now I can just mole these out, change them into moles, and now I can find my subscripts by dividing by the smallest. I get C1H2 is my empirical formula. Just as a note that this analytical approach can be used for any reaction. It does not have to be combustion. All you do is you isolate the mass and ultimately the moles of each individual element in the target compound. You're just tracing where elements go. Take a moment, try this example, which is not a combustion, but you can use a similar technique. Okay, 1 gram of iron chloride was decomposed into its constituent elements. 0.34 grams of solid iron was recovered. Determine the empirical formula of the iron chloride compound. Okay, so if I'm kind of thinking of this as an equation, I know there's a compound that has both iron and chlorine to start with. Ionic compounds should have the metal first, and that's why I have that metal first. I'm not sure what the ratios are, so I do know iron forms a 2+ or a 3+ charge, and I do know that chlorine forms a 1- charge. So it's likely going to be FeCl2 or FeCl3. Chlorine's going to have some subscript, I'm not sure which it is, and Fe is going going to have a subscript of 1 since chlorine has a charge of 1. And if I flip that, it would just give Fe the subscript of 1. And I'm going to get Fe by itself, Cl2 because Cl is diatomic. Make sure you remember Hofbrinkel, HOFBRIN, and Cl are your diatomic elements. When you write them, they should be having a subscript of 2. So this is what my formula is. This is a decomposition reaction, one reactant breaking down. So I know that 0.34 grams of iron was recovered. And if I trace this, I can see that all the iron is being recovered as solid iron. So I could also assume that 0.34 grams of iron is in this iron chloride. If I know the mass of the entire iron chloride, then via subtraction, I can say that there's 0.66 grams of chlorine in this particular compound. So now I have mass of each element. I can go straight into turning these into moles and finding the empirical formula. Okay, so and you might have been able to do this without even writing a reaction. I'm just showing you how these would react together. Okay, and if I do that, I should find that FCl should have a subscript of 3. You get FeCl3 or iron 3.